Welcome to the spoiler section. Alex, I'm super excited to hear from you.
Yeah.
What was it that broke the rules, and how was the ending disappointing?
So the twist of the movie is it is an unidentified flying object, but it's not a spaceship. It's a predator, right? And it's a territorial predator that lives above this area. And so they kind of play with like, we are not the top of the food chain in this thing. So they're playing it's the man versus nature thing. So it's a really interesting take. And this thing is eating houses. It eats wheelchairs. It eats a bunch of people. It eats barbed wire. It eats metal. It eats metal.
No, it
eats
doesn't
metal.
eat those things, Alex. It sucks up. It eats humans, and some of those things get sucked up, which then it spits out later on.
Yeah, and then so what happens is it eats a balloon, and then the balloon
I love
pops.
that it's an animal, though.
Oh, I do.
I fucking love that idea. Something I never thought of. It's like, well, why haven't we been contacted? Because they're fucking predators. They don't fucking want to talk to you. They want to eat you.
Yeah, and then so it eats a balloon. The balloon pops, and then it dies.
Yeah. Yeah, they find a creative way to kill it. I'm like, how the fuck are you going to kill something like this?
Yeah.
It's silent. It's deadly. It can camouflage as a cloud, which I thought was a really creative scene. It's like, what the fuck? And it's so genius to hide in the trailer because we've seen it in the trailer, obviously just a single cloud. I thought that was really, really fun. And I don't mind that it is getting blown up by a helium balloon or whatever as it sucks. Who knows what interaction could happen with this fucking really, I just love the design of it. It's kind of like, initially it looks like a flying saucer with a hole in the bottle that could suck things up. When it goes into full predator mode, it gets pissed off. Then it becomes like a giant jellyfish, and it's just so sci-fi, it's so creative. And then it has like a face that is like a green thing with undulating tentacles, or they look more like flayed balloon pieces, right? And maybe when that comes into contact with God knows what is powering this thing and allowing to do it, that chemical reaction can blow up. So that for me wasn't all that outlandish. It definitely was hurt by barbed wire, balloons, and flags. So it spits all that shit out, and it doesn't like that. So they took advantage of that, had a really clever plan, though the film makes it seem...
See, I don't
like they had a plan, but then they didn't execute it, and then they kind of came up with something.
She just runs to the final thing, sees a balloon, throws it in the air, and like that wasn't planned at all. It was
Are
just
you sure?
positive.
Yeah, okay.
She
I
just,
think you're right.
She just
it was not
She
planned.
just sees a balloon, and she's like, "Oh, this is definitely filled with helium.
This is gonna fuck you up."
And then
she
it
said.
just throws it up, and then. But I'm like, you just.
But maybe that was a part of the plan.
No, because her brother was going to sacrifice
himself to do that, and like so it had nothing to do with
save her.
anything.
Okay.
So like
He's like,
everything
"Oh."
had been clever, like really clever. I was so excited when they're like setting this plan up. He's like, I got the special
have
camera,
little thimbles and shit,
Yeah.
and little pins on how they're gonna fucking. Because it's like this shit is serious. Like, how the fuck
Yeah.
are you gonna take this thing out? It is massive.
and then it like I said, previously in the movie, it had sucked up pretty much an entire rodeo. It's spitting out wheelchairs. And so it's like holding all these big, nasty metal things inside. It sucks up a barbed wire fence. And then so like when it got popped by a literal balloon, it's like, come on, you show me how durable, how insane this thing is. It eats horses, 40 people at a time. And you're saying a balloon, a Stephen Yeun balloon blew this monster up? No. I want something more clever. I wanted them to really earn
Like
it.
what?
Because like any monster movie where they like come up with a cool
You just
plan.
want like an explosion or something?
Or something more clever than she finds a balloon and puts it up in the sky.
I thought it was clever. I mean, it didn't like the flags, it didn't like the balloons and wavy men. So, all right. But anyways, that's fine.
Another thing that I was going to talk about, Jupiter's like storyline kind of just ended abruptly. Like
Jupiter?
Stephen Yeun.
Steve.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The cowboy.
Yeah, I thought they're building it up. He's like, okay, it's like I get what their message.
Yeah,
but
a
it was
lot of
just like,
people are
okay,
not going to like
gone.
this whole... We got to talk about it.
That's
so
another
this film
thing.
starts with... Joe, go ahead.
So it's a monkey, your terrible CGI monkey.
Terrible CGI.
Like he just went off. He had enough, and it was a sitcom.
Yeah,
and
killed
he
all
killed all the
people.
actors, and then
Except
you get
for
Jupiter.
Jupiter.
Yeah, he's like hiding underneath, and then we'll get scenes of that later recurring.
I thought that was an alien in the trailer, right? And it turned out to be just the monkey giving him, because that was their thing. They did the first fist bump on screen.
Yeah.
So it is a big red herring. And initially I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, how does this factor in at all? But, you know, it's more subtext. It's allegory. If you think about it, is about predators.
You think you got control over this chimp, and you absolutely don't. And the second something goes wrong, he literally he tears the face off a little girl.
For the end.
Get it? Balloon pop. They didn't like the predators. Don't like the balloons.
Still hate it.
Boom. It was planned.
Oh, I planned, but like the character didn't plan it. She just
I think it's very possible that could have been still a
yeah.
part of the plan. But it
wasn't.
because you're right. Because at one point, okay, so they set up how they're going. First, it was
because they just want to take pictures of it. That's
they don't want to kill it.
They don't want to kill
pictures.
True. Oh. Yeah. Okay. So, anyways, then shit goes awry because so eventually they're like, okay, hold on, we're skipping ahead a little bit. Let's go to his father. So the father has the ranch, this Hollywood ranch that you've seen in the trailer. He's the one that set up, and that guy, he dies. It sucks because Keith David could have really lended himself well because he's been in John Carpenter stuff. He's really good. Unfortunately, his bit is very small. A nickel fucking is, I guess, if it falls from high enough, it can fucking turn into a bullet, and it goes into his eye, and it's lodged in his brain, and he dies. And, you know, his son, our main character, is like, what the fuck? Like, there's just, like, you know, I was like, are they under fire? Nobody's taking cover because it sounds like ricochets and shit. And one of the horses gets hit with a key. And it's because after this thing feeds, it, you know, spits out all the pieces that it doesn't like. And, well, where has it been feeding? It feels like this is its territory, which links into one of the horses, I think it was Ghost, who was acting territorial at one point in one of the flashbacks. And it could be that this horse is sensing other animals and they're trying to, you know, be territorial. And that could have been an early warning system, but there was no way to know. And simultaneously, you have this child actor who has had massive trauma seeing everybody die in front of him. And then he laments on the fact that this was one of the most popular sitcoms on the show. He would have been famous for a long time. Unfortunately, now he's in some backwater town doing small, tiny shows with like 47 people, I think they said, was at one of his shows. And he manages to form one of these delicate and hubris type things with the predator. He feeds it these horses because initially we see that our main character, as he took over the ranch from his father, he's just not very good at it. Not very good. He's not a people person with Hollywood animal handling and stuff. And so he's kind of broke. And he's on the side selling off his horses to this character who uses them as food in a show. And
that's why in the office he's like, let me see if I can buy him back. He's like, well, we'll talk about that.
Because he's been feeding the horses once a week for 6 months.
And
so
the horses are suspiciously absent.
Yeah.
You're looking in this
like,
in this
where
western
did they go?
town. They ain't got no fucking horses. So, you know, it's just kind of creative here and there. And so yeah, and then so that, you know, Stephen Yeun's Jupiter has a whole back room filled with memorabilia. One thing I didn't understand, and here's my interpretation of it. You guys tell me if this is right. We get the reveal of Jupiter under the table watching the monkey. I thought we were going to see the monkey rip people's faces off. We don't. It's all behind the scenes. Now, it was very odd because I don't remember seeing this in the first time it was depicted at the opening of the film, but there's a shoe that's standing on end with blood. Now, my interpretation is that he's remembering this, and it's kind of mixing with his collection because he has, he has the shoe in his collection. And so the reason why that shoe is standing on end, because it's so apparent, it's like, why is this? It's because it's a traumatic memory being replayed, right? Is that the purpose of the shoe?
I was like, how is this so perfectly balanced?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway, he's just killing, which, by the way, the father in that sitcom is a moron.
He runs back in.
Because he comes right back down after everybody's dead.
And gets his ass beat to
get
death.
himself killed. To get himself beat up. And the monkey doesn't kill him because I guess the monkey on cue goes back to his normal mode. When he sees a little kid, he does the fist bump.
Yeah.
Jump scare. Explosion, shotgun to the face.
Yeah, then they shoot the chimp in the head.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was one of the jump scares. And we get some more jump scares. What were the ones in the row? There was one
The
in
praying
the barn.
mantis was really
Okay,
big.
that's what it was. So it was all centered around this praying mantis. Initially, it was a praying mantis, and then they did something else, and then they did a fake out.
There's kids that
kids.
pop down.
Kid, yeah, okay.
So the kid dressed up as an alien. And he's dressed up as an alien because the dad, Stephen Young's been feeding horses to the aliens. And so they're setting up this big alien spectacle. They think that they've mastered nature, right? Like, I know aliens exist, and I'm feeding them, and I'm going to make this big show out of them. And then
So I think it's actually tied together really cleverly. As an audience, it feels there's a river and ocean. You're going against the grain, man. You're like, why are you showing me this? Why are there kids with random alien outfits in the middle of nowhere? But I like how he does eventually tie it all together, and it does make sense. I think we just, sort of disagree on the ending, and I totally see your point that it was an improvised plan at the end. So eventually, they realize the thing is here is a predator. Let's get this on camera. Which these days, even if you got it on camera, ain't nobody fucking believing you.
Yeah.
They even put that in the film. Remember when the Air Force actually released real footage of a real UFO? And people don't give a fuck. Nobody's talking about it, right? And that's real. They really released that, like, we don't know what this shit is. And so, they talk about, let's get it on digital 4K or whatever, and we'll get the money shot. But unfortunately, this alien has an inherent ability to turn off all electronics. So that's why they contact the cinematographer dude, because they knew he's into this shit, and he's got one of them hand crank ones. Which is one thing that I didn't like in the film. Like, he's doing his job. He's getting it right. He's cryptic. I like him. But then, for no fucking reason, after he gets the footage that he needs,
Joe, it's because
he randomly goes crazy and says some stupid ass shit like, we don't deserve this.
Impossible.
What is he talking about? So is it he wants to get even more footage? But if we don't deserve it, why are you getting even more? Or are you just committing suicide because you don't want to go famous?
He's peaked.
It doesn't make any sense, and I hated it.
So, like, up until that point, that's where I'm like, man, this movie is amazing. And then it just, like, slowly, starts to spiral. I'm like, man, what is happening? Okay.
Yeah.
And all right.
So he gets sucked up into the thing. He fucking dies. Now, granted,
his obsession.
I saw this. I don't know if it's an Easter egg or whatever. His assistant, who is the Fry's guy, we'll talk about Fry's Electronics here in a second. He rolls down the hill, and I saw one of the camera footage. So maybe that footage is still there as well if they want to add that to what we see later on. But yeah, so another character in the film is this Fry's Electronics guy.
Angel, yeah.
The Geek Squad.
Angel, yeah.
But Angel, and he, I think it's so funny that they chose Fry's, because I used to shop at Fry's all the time.
I used to love going
It's a
R.I.P.,
great
baby.
place. Yeah, and it's gone now.
It's
I think
gone.
that's part of the joke. Maybe Jordan Peele shopped there, and he's like,
well, even when they go
I
to
need a
Fry's,
Best
there's
Buy.
only two or three cars in the parking lot. So it's like, this place is going on there.
So they use that one, and this guy is kind of excited because he also believes in aliens. He kind of realizes that it's not for security, all these cameras. And so he taps into the cameras illegally and, is spying and watching. And then he kind of joins the crew. So that's kind of your core crew there. It's the brother, the sister, and the Fry's guy. And, as they get you really immersed in the world, there's a lot of stuff with them, and I think they could have cut it a little short, maybe characterized them a little bit better, a little quicker to get to the more interesting
Because like I was saying
aspects.
before, with there wasn't. Yeah, we get to know them, but there's not a little a lot of depth to them.
Depth to them.
We just know, okay, they're brother and sister, the grandfathers. We barely scratch the surface.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot they could have trimmed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if Kiki and Daniel, their characters are actually likable.
She was not at the beginning.
She's not likable at all, and he's so distant and and just stoic. And I get it because he's fucking trauma from his father dying in front of him and being forced upon this, ranch, and he's out of his element. But it's like, come on, if you're actually going to do this, then you would know to kind of like warn people, hey, don't spook the horse by staring in their eyes.
He did.
Or don't.
But he just stopped
No,
spoken.
he needs to be like, look, when I come in, this is how we're going to do this.
That's not
right,
his
so he's just
character.
sitting there silent
He's
with
like,
the
hey,
horse.
can you stop? Don't go behind it. Don't go.
Don't say, it's
I
like,
told you.
right. That's part of his character. But I'm saying he's not very good at his job because he doesn't have those people skills. His sister does. He waits for his sister to show up, but she's lazy. She's late, unfocused, doesn't really give a shit.
Trying to side hustle.
Right, exactly.
Interrupting
So
business
I
meetings,
didn't
like
give a
everything,
shit
I
about
think.
her and him. I'm like, maybe him a little bit, but eventually there is a good character arc, and then she, you grow to like them a little bit more, which is fine. Not every single character has to be likable at the beginning, so I actually ended up liking that aspect. I just wanted to mention it, that they're not particularly likable at first, and some people might just give up on the film's slow parts before it gets interesting. I like where it was set. These hills are very beautiful to look at, and perfect terrain for this UFO/creature to pop in and out of behind the hills and shit. It's just fascinating.
You can't
I
do that in
love
LA.
that sci-fi. I love these new
cities.
ideas, and I think that's why I'm a little higher on it than y'all. But eventually, Alex or Joe, if you want to explain the ultimate plan at the end there and how it falls apart.
Yeah, they want to ultimately get a picture of it. So what they do is they set up a grid of wacky inflatable arm guys all over the place to kind of monitor where the thing is. And he puts on his Scorpion King sweatshirt because that was his first movie he ever worked on.
Yes.
And he put reflectors on it because if you look at this thing in the eye, that's when it kills you. Otherwise, it leaves you alone. And so he puts blinders on the horse, and he does all these things so that he can go out freely. And then this TMZ guy shows up randomly.
The guy with the silver helmet seemed like a trailer thing.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. It's almost like
that there's only one guy.
Yeah, and then did Jordan Peele just get hounded or something like while writing this movie? He's like, fuck TMZ people. I'm gonna fucking kill him in this movie. It felt a little out of place, but it ended up working. The monster comes out, eats the TMZ guy, and
we
then
use the bike.
and they can't use the bike. Yeah, and so then they take him on a horse ride, and the horse is
that's why it wasn't planned. There's no way she could have got to that.
Exactly.
You're right. I don't know why I thought that there was maybe planned. No, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, everything, in my opinion, had been really, really earned and well thought out up until that point, and then when they just kind of...
I'm up for improvisation.
Sure, but it makes sense in Arachnophobia because it's a monster movie, and you're just like, he's got the thing, but it's like a satisfying thing. For me, I'm sitting there and I'm like, the space monster that's eating barbed wire just got popped with a balloon.
You didn't like the... Yeah, I got you.
And we filled it with hydrogen because like something cool was happening or we did something crazy to it. No, it's literally a balloon.
And the thing, too, about it was like whenever...
What are those massive Macy's things filled with? I don't think that's just normal fucking air. It's
some of them are air, some of them are helium.
No.
Well, another thing, too, like whenever he's being chased by the machine... by the UFO or whatever, he pulls out the little flags, and the thing knows not to eat that because it doesn't like it.
Yeah.
But the balloon has like 4 of them.
That's
like,
right,
and then it
Joe.
eats it.
That's
And it
right.
eats
Is
it.
that
It's
the
like-
rule breaking you were talking about?
Yeah.
Well,
It
that's one of them, too, is
won't
like,
eat
it
anything
won't-
with flags
it's like,
on it.
look, it has flags on it. It
Well, I
stopped from eating the horse, but it's going to eat that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. But I think my explanation for that would be, because I'm defending the film and I like it a little more, is when it goes from its saucer form into its full-on predator form, it starts doing shit where it's like, no, fuck you guys. I'm going to fucking come after you, whether you're doing the tactics that you like or not.
But it's still
so that's kind of what I was
It's still
thinking.
obeying the no-looking rule when it's still in its final form. Because the guy didn't look, so it's like not looking.
That's like the monster at the end kind of like picks and chooses which ones it's gonna obey at the end, and so yeah. I
Just
like
nitpicking.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like I like when monster movies end in like a really satisfying way. You're like, yeah, you really fucked up this goddamn monster. Like we've overcome. And I either wanted the thing to win because it's like that kind of fits with the thing. Is like you can't. Sometimes man doesn't beat nature. And
Right. I would have liked that ending where it's like they got a picture of it and then maybe it's spread across the earth and it's like, and then they showed, oh fuck, there's other clouds that aren't moving, and they're like, "Oh man, we got to figure out
That
how to
would've
deal
been-
with it."
yeah.
Yeah, so if it just takes off and but the fact that it eats a balloon and dies, and it's like, dude, no, like eating a balloon, spit it out, and then fucking take off, dude, I'm in. Like this movie's like an 8 or 9.
That would have been sweet.
But it just turned into something that's like, I don't
like
like
that.
this ending.
Yeah, even though it doesn't go the way I particularly want, I think it was effective there. So it's like, yeah, that's not the movie that I wanted, but the one that I got was still satisfying for me. Yeah. So what else? We got the sitcom. We got
They got a
think we
jab
got
at
everything
Siegfried and Roy in
covered.
there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you think you can train predators, do you? Yeah,
predators.
Siegfried and Roy is like, ooh,
really hammer that home there.
you
The whole
can't. You don't
Missed.
get to
taming predators thing. Okay, so let's talk about the ending. Did you think it was a little rough? We smashed a black. She basically lures the predator there using her brother, distracts it long enough and gets it to follow him long enough to where the anti-electronics field is just out of range. She can get on the BMW electric bike and drive off. Then it chases her as she screams at it. She takes it to Jupiter's
Claim. Jupiter's claim? Yeah.
his little theme park, and like Alex said, there is a random balloon there. I'm not sure what her plan was initially, just get it away from her brother, I guess. But anyway, she finds the balloon and she unleashes it, but there's flags on it. I'm not sure why it would go with the flags, but I guess it's like, oh, you challenging me, motherfucker? This motherfucker's pointing at me or something. I'm gonna eat you. And then she manages to go to the well, which we've seen earlier. If you crank this well, it takes some pictures, so you get the little novelty picture of looking down a well. And she manages to capture the footage because we still need a picture, we still need proof, we still need footage.
It's a pretty good camera in the well, by
Because
the way.
it was because this fucking idiot decided for no apparent reason to kill himself with the hand crank thing, and so she does that. She gets the picture. The monster eats the balloon. It flies off, and I thought it was an impressive visual, impressive shot. And the sun is coming up. It pops, and then like a jellyfish wounded, it's like flying down. That shit's gonna hit the ground, and people are gonna see it. So it kind of takes care of itself. It doesn't need to show a lot of the aftermath. What it does show a tiny bit is some news vans in the background, and I think there were people, because they're probably wondering why did 47 people disappear, and so there were some people there that basically
Got sucked up.
no that were there wondering.
Oh.
what
Yeah,
was
other
going
people
on.
saw what it was.
Looky-loos.
Yeah.
But I didn't, and then it smashes to black, right?
No, she sees her brother.
Oh yeah, she sees her brother.
Out yonder.
Yeah, is this really her brother? Did he really get killed? They don't show him being killed, and I guess you could interpret it as him. And no, he's alive.
Yeah, she
he's
saved him.
alive. Yeah,
Because he
she
started
saved him.
chasing him.
So, and then that's basically how it ends. There's no after credit scene, so there's no reason to stay there. Do they eventually get famous? We don't know. That's up to your interpretation and things.
They
It's
get
like,
the picture because it pops
this
out.
is
you
something that
see
nobody
it,
can
but-
take away from us, is why I assumed that it was more than just taking a picture. I thought that maybe there was a plan to kill it.
They're technically taking it
is
away
what I was
from Jupiter
thinking.
because he was the first to see it. He fed it for 6 straight months. So ultimately, he was the one who discovered.
But you would think
He got
that when-
greedy.
here's the another jump in logic that I could not go along with. He's got this fucking alien show with a legit fucking alien in there, and all the crowd is like, this goes from like a fucking sideshow to a holy shit, what the fuck? And so people start to take out their cameras, and his wife or whatever, girlfriend is like, no cameras. And we're supposed to believe that nobody ever took a picture or video, and nobody would know about this show.
Joe,
That's dumb.
Yeah. It kills the cameras, so it doesn't work. But no, technically,
No, you're right. Yeah. Okay, so that does take care of that. So yeah, even if they did, it probably
It was his
wouldn't
first show
work
too.
with
Yeah.
proximity.
That was the very first show he had ever done.
oh, for public.
Yeah. And so,
Okay.
but the thing is, like, he had been feeding and looking at it
Yeah.
and taking care of this thing for 6 months. So technically, they didn't discover it or take.
I
the
guess
first
it was because
pictures.
I saw this neon stuff. I guess that show was repurposed. It was a different kind of spectacular show. And then once he found this, that was gonna be his big debut. That's why they built it up like, you know, she's all.
So he had his UFO in the back of his jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the two
I
main
don't know,
characters
man.
are
I
going to
liked
steal
it.
the fame and fortune from Stephen Young's
I
family.
did, but like
And,
again,
I liked it.
I did enjoy it, but it was still.
I thought it
lacking.
was something different and unique, and I like that spin.
I like the direction it was actually going.
I almost kind of like it as much as Us. You know, so it's around that level. Get Out still better, but I think it's the, you know, I don't know how people are going to react to it. I think it's another solid Jordan Peele film. It may not be Peele. He may not be the best. I'm looking forward to whatever he does next.
Yeah.
I'm still looking forward to that. Now, I've already seen it's Wendell and Wild is his next project, but he's not the director on it. That's a American stop-motion animated dark fantasy comedy horror film directed by Henry Selick from a script by Jordan Peele and Selick. Wendell and Wild on Netflix in October 2022. But other than that, I don't know. And the man is Jordan. He's awesome, and he knows his horror directors. Had a recent thing. Somebody was like, "Oh, you're the best horror director ever." He's like, "I will not stand for that slander. That is John Carpenter is the best." I don't know what the next quote is. If it was me, the next quote would be, "I will accept second best." Or third best if you count Stephen King. I don't know. But Stephen King doesn't actually direct. That's his books.
We have to ignore some of the stuff in
And
those
then
books.
other people. Yeah, exactly. Some creepy stuff. Anyways, that's our opinion on Nope. Have you seen it? If you have, put down your reactions down below and let us know what you thought of it. That's it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you on the next Angry Joe Show. Bye, guys.